Oh, oh, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream and yet another chapter. Another chapter working on that guy there. That is now chapter 6, I believe we're on. Yeah, that's the 1/16 scale Dukes of Hazzard General Lee made by MPC. I guess we'll just run the intro. Yeah, and we'll get started, okay? Okay guys, so we're back, and as you could see, if you saw the very beginning of this, I am working on the rear seat. This is yet another printed version of the rear seat. You can see I've been working on the engines. We're doing stuff with this. First, I want to just do a quick little test fit on our seat, but I got to remove all the supports. This is 3D printed, of course, and so I have to remove the supports on it. So I might as well show you exactly the process I'm doing for this. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so we have the seat. This is 3D printed. This is just the seat bottom. Okay, and I made it a little bit thicker to see how it's going to look once it's in the car, but I got to get rid of these supports. I have my hand boost ultrasonic knife that I'm going to be using to remove said supports, and this stuff will kind of cut through the resin like butter without basically no effort on my part. I'm going to do this, go through on the edges. Why am I doing it on the edges? Because I want nice, clean edges. A lot of times if you just rip the supports off, you get one of two things. You either get a little nub sticking up, or you actually get a little divot. And especially if your resin is very thin in some spots, you could actually break the edge of your resin off. Okay, so I'm going around on this thing, just on the perimeter, to make sure my edges are going to be nice. And then I'll rip it off. Okay, I just kind of take it and kind of do a bit of a twist and a pull at the same time. I'm going to do this over my garbage can here, so you're not going to really be able to see it very easily. But just kind of do a twist. You can hear it maybe. There we go. So as I said, I'm just twisting. I'm doing a twisting action. All my little broken supports are falling off, and that is it. And now I have a seat bottom without any supports on it. All right, so this has become very thin here, but that's okay. So we're going to take a look and see how this is how it's going to line up, and if I need to do any more adjustment. You guys saw last time I had already printed myself a couple of different versions of the seat. This one here, which is too skinny and too short, and then this one is a decent height on the back but also still too short. So then I decided to print it off in different pieces, and then I found it's a little too skinny there. You can see this one's thicker. So let's have a look at the chassis. I'm going to clean up this back edge here first because it's a little rough. So this is, of course, is the back, so not going to be seen. So I'll just file those down so they're a little smooth. Like I said, you get one of two things. You either get all these little nubs from your supports, or you get divots. And but the sonic knife allows you to really just deal with that. You can see as I file away, you can see where all the supports were underneath this, but we'll get that nice and smooth, and no remnants of supports anymore, so that we got a nice smooth surface to deal with. Now my big gap here, this is much wider than it really needs to be, but that's okay. Alright, so let's get these out of the way. Let's grab the chassis out from underneath everything here. And you can see my previous one still sitting in the chassis here, but I have this big gap where it's like that, and I didn't like that, so I just redid it with a little bit thicker. It's still not enough. Still I mean, it's going down to these two little pegs that are sticking up here. But I think it's actually at a point where once this is in the body and there's door panels on there. Where are my door panels? Let's find the door panels. I have them sitting somewhere. Here they are. I primered them so they're not white anymore, but I still have them on the sprue. So if I take this and put that on here, this is going to go like that. And the fact that the seat cushion isn't going quite to the floor, I don't think that's really going to be an issue now, is it? I think that's going to be fine. So, I think I just might leave that like that, and that'll call that good enough. She goes right to the back here. If anything, I could, I kind of would like the seat to not be perfectly straight here. You know, usually they're like this. Usually they're kind of angled up, you know, like this kind of thing. But if I do that, yeah, Well, you know what? I think it'd be fine. I think that'd be fine. I could put a little wedge in there and get that to kick up a little bit so that our seat is more of a proper angle like that. And then our seat back, which is sitting over here, that's going to go in here like that, and that's going to drop down like that. And I think that's pretty good. What I really should do is make sure my seat back is going to fit. Well, yeah, it's going to fit. It's fine. Yeah, so it's going to sit like this, and I think that's good. You can see I've got a huge amount of space. I could probably get away with redoing this so they've got a height like that. I think I just might do that. I think I'm going to redo my seat. I'm going to redo my seat one last time and get that height and get my angle proper in there. So I'm going to redo this one. Okay, let's check that out. Bye-bye. Okay. And that one too. Another thing I wanted to do, especially today, is I want to do a little bit on our floorboard. I want to fill in our little panels here. I seem to be messing up all my spark plug wires. As you could tell, here's my engine as its current form. Off camera, I put on the carburetors and I put on our oil filler caps, and I did the fan belt. The fan belt is on there now, and our fan. So I'll go over what I did with that. My fan belt is nothing more than 1 millimeter wide Tamiya masking tape, painted rubber black, and then put on with a little CA glue. And I hid my seam down here on this side, so it's kind of hidden underneath there and you can't really see it. You'll never see the seam. And so we got a very nice, realistic looking fan belt that's, you know, scale thickness, unlike the kit one. And you can see my carburetors on there. We're looking pretty good. Not too bad at all. I did a little bit of the oil staining and making it look a little bit used. I drilled my holes for my spark plug wires into the cylinder heads. So we're getting ready to do that. Got a nice STP decal on my oil filter. So yeah, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We're starting to look pretty, a little more authentic anyway. Yeah. Speaking of which, we have our kit engine here. I put the carburetor on that one, and of course you guys saw me do that. After doing the bit of the wash to make it look dirty, I took some silver paint and I highlighted on our valve train there, just so that the silver pops out and they look a little bit more 3D and shiny like they should, you know, like machined steel. I just haven't done that around the cylinder head yet. That should look like machined. And our fan belt, I fixed it. I actually wound up cutting the underneath here, and then cut a little section out so that I could bring this side in tight against the crank. And yeah, you can see the little separation right there, but that's hidden underneath, so we're always going to be looking at it from the top. So yeah, that looks a little better. And of course, it's real thick. It's the it's the kit belt. It's plastic, so it's thick. All right. So there we go. Alrighty, that's that. And I've got all this on my bench here because I'm working on the spark plug wires for the distributor. Our distributor even has little holes in it already, nice and ready to accept some wires. What am I using for wires? I'm using this stuff right here. I believe this is 22 gauge wire. It's very, very flexible. It's very soft. So that's going to be nice. That'll work great. Okay, let's move some of this stuff out of my way while I start working on this. I don't like the fact that our floorboard has all this detail in here and everything like that. And we got to get rid of our fake, well, not fake, but our wrongly located shifter, because we're putting the center console on here. We're not going to be using the kit location for our shifter. So the other thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this great big cross brace. It's not a NASCAR. This car would not have had this. The General Lee would not have had this, and I also wouldn't have had those two pins sticking up there. Those are for hoses, I imagine, and yeah, not going to be using those. So how are we going to get rid of these things? Well, there's a few ways you can do this. Okay. You could just use some nippers and trim away at this like this, tick 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 tick. You could do that. You could use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel and just Dremel all that out. If you're like me and you have an ultrasonic knife, you can use that. And the ultrasonic knife, of course, it's great for resin. You saw me use it. On plastic, though, what it does is, because it vibrates, it generates heat and it actually melts the plastic. It doesn't really cut it, it melts it. So the ultrasonic knife for plastic, I would not recommend. I think for this thing, I'm going to start with nippers, and then I'll clean it up maybe with the Dremel. So let's just get in here and trim this down. This doesn't follow through underneath, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. But we're going to make our way along here, bending this up as we go, and get rid of this brace. I know that I've seen guys building this kit and they retain this brace, but this is supposed to be a carpeted floor in the General Lee, not a real NASCAR. So for the sake of trying to kind of retain the whole General Lee thing on the inside as well, and more than just the way it looks on the outside, I'm going to try and make the interior more like a stock Dodge Charger and not a race car. So doing this is going to make it a little easier to get in there with the Dremel and everything, and without really hacking at it too much. It's still going to require some hacking, and I am going to be, covering all this up, so I can get rid of those two little things there. I think what this is supposed to be is a brake line. Maybe it's either a brake line or, I don't know, could be fuel line. The fuel line is supposed to go down in here and go doink onto this, so I'm not sure. Or maybe that is brake line. Here. Yeah, maybe. In theory. Snap, that was loud. Snap, that was loud. Okay. You think that's loud? Wait till I get the Dremel out. Grind all this smooth. Speaking of that, fortunately this isn't really molded in under here, so we can just kind of nip this down. We'll deal with that with the Dremel. Alright? Alright. So, let's grab the Dremel. So I've got my little grinder bit in here. That'll do, especially for here. This is going to be a little loud, so I apologize. I will turn down the volume as I do this. Okay, so that made short work of our shifter and where that was. And I need to change my glasses because I'm looking at this, and as I'm trying to look closer at it, it's getting all blurry on me, and I don't like that. So I want to get rid of just that little bit still right there. Okay, so for the back, these two things here, I could use a cutoff wheel and try and get in there, but I think it's going to be easier to just continue with this and go along like that and get in on that edge like that. Because even if I happen to go in and make a little bit of a rut and make it thin, that's okay. So much vibration, it actually came loose. It is only hand tight, right? Well, just as we got finished, my battery and my Dremel died. We're dead. Okay. So, and that was like the last little bit. I have black plastic dust all over my desk now, but that's okay. So now we can get in here and we can refine our little ruts with file and with some little bit of carving, maybe with a knife, to just get this up. This is all going to be covered up, so I'm not worried about it really looking pretty right now. What I want is it to be level. I want it to be leveled out, because I don't care if it looks really pretty right now. You can see I just missed that one little spot right there. It's the last little bit. And on this side here, I didn't quite get it down level, so we'll carve this a little bit. Because the Dremel, or the file is just a little bit too much. I think that's good enough. Put this down here just a little bit. There we go. We'll kind of round this off a little bit here. There we go. And all these little rivets and everything on our little hump here is a detail that doesn't matter. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We're pretty close anyway. close. A little bit of work on this side here. So my plan for the carpet is not just to, you know, paint this all. We've got to put some actual carpet texture down. And that's, you know, you have different options on what you want to do when it comes to carpet. You guys already know this, right? It's nothing new to you guys. But we could do flocking. You could just do a thick paint and maybe use an airbrush with some thicker paint in it and have it splatter. And then you get your little blobs of paint in there. I think that's smooth enough for what we're going to be doing. The last thing I want to do is I don't like these great big indents in there. I don't like those. And that's where some sheet styrene will come into play. Let me just quickly clean this up, my little area here a little bit, and get rid of all this black plastic everywhere that I have going on here.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Okay, so this little section here, I want to fill that in. And I've got some sheet styrene. I don't know what millimeter that is, but it's maybe 0.5 millimeter. And if I just put that down in there, I think that maybe 2 sheets, 2 layers of it would be pretty good. So I'm just going to trim this off a little bit. Let's see, what kind of thickness do I want here? I'm going to get a Sharpie going here. And I know I want at least this thick, so let's go here. Grab a ruler. We'll measure in millimeters because millimeters are precise. We got 37 millimeters. Let's do the same on this side. 35, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Just going to measure this. Did I measure it right? Well, I'm pretty close. Pretty close. Okay, so we'll score this. We'll do it twice. Okay, and now we can break it off. Like that. There we go. Now we've got a piece that's a little more forgiving when it comes to working with it, right? So we can measure this up to that spot there. Get this roughly straight. Cut that. We'll have a look. That's pretty good. So with it going to the edge here, I want to go here, here, let's actually do it this way. There, there. Okay. Now when it becomes almost a full square like this, it's a little hard. Also because this is not perfect 90 degrees. So with doing it that way, it doesn't really want to fit. Doing it this way, it fits perfect. So it gives me a little bit of a thickness in there, but we're not quite. We're still got a bit of a something going on there. Still got a bit of something. So we're going to take this, put it on here, drop my knife on the floor, hopefully not stabbing myself in the foot. Line this up on here. Now let's line it up on this edge. Okay. 1, 2. Again, my cut's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect because I can always, I'm reminding you guys, I am filling this in later on. There we go, that's in. And so now that actually makes it just a bit of a ridge. That is just about perfect, I think, just like that. And I can put down something. I can put down something and it'll fill it in. So let's glue this in. That's the nice thing about this stuff, is we can just glue this in now. Move it to where we need it. So the glue actually works pretty quick on this stuff. We're good, we're in. So we've got a sheet in there. We've got to glue it down on this edge. Get in there. All right, so that's that. Okay, so let's look at this part. All right, so to eliminate the visual thing, I don't really want it to be looking like I've got indents and stuff like that. So I'm going to take some Tamiya putty. Where is my Tamiya putty? I'm just going to use this stuff here, the basic type. This stuff dries really quick. I'm just going to smear it around all the edges here and kind of get it in there so that I kind of hide these seams a little bit, like this. And fill in that gap. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty. I'm not looking for pretty here. I'm just filling in the gap. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm caring about. Here we go. Let's get along this door seam here too. Here we go. We've got a really nice, messy looking thing, including my finger. But that's alright. If you wind up putting too much on, you know, you can always just scrape away like I'm about to here and kind of clean it up a little bit, so that we don't have a huge, yeah, you can see it's already starting to dry over on this side here, but that's okay. Once it's all dry, we can sand it down and make it a little more nice looking, but like I said, it's all going to be hidden, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to let that dry, we're going to let that cure, we're going to leave this alone for a little while, and now we're going to focus on ignition wires. I don't normally show you guys this process, but I figured, what the heck, why not this time, right? I'm going to work on the distributor and some ignition wires for this thing. Okay, so as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, I have a bunch of wires already cut. These are pre-cut to some kind of lengths that I'm looking for. Okay, and then what have I got here? This is a little bit of some heat shrink tubing, and this is going to act like my little spark plug wire boot for the side of the cylinder head. Wrong engine. This guy here. So like I mentioned before, I've already drilled the holes in the side of the block. This is going to go in right in there, something like this, and will look like that when it's all done. Okay, but we're going to put the wires in on the distributor first. So what I'm going to do, this was just a little test here. I was thinking, can I do the wire boots on the distributor side? But the problem I would have is this needs to be at a 90-degree bend, and I can't 90-degree bend my spark plug boots. So I think I'm just going to have to live with the wires sticking out and bent at 90 degrees, like this, kind of like that. And just kind of sit like that, sticking out of the distributor. I could paint them black, that might work too, but yeah. This wire literally was just a test, just to see how my heat shrink would fit on there, and it fit fine. Okay, of course now that I've taken it off, I probably can't get it back on there. I might be able to. We'll try. Give it a spin as a try. Maybe not. Yeah, I got it on there. I fluked out. Yep, it's on there. Anyway, so I have already stripped these out, so you can see the little tiny wire sticking out the front of it, and that's to go into my distributor cap. so that I get a nice good bond in there. Now these are all, I kind of have to finagle them to get in the distributor cap. It's a really, you get one little wire that wants to fray and then it doesn't fit, and then other ones it fits, so it's going to go in like this. Okay. Now I could possibly put the heat shrink tubing over top of it and then heat it up. I might do that. That could very well be an option I'm looking at here. So we need to get some CA glue to get these wires in. I know some guys use 5-minute epoxy, but I don't want to wait 5 minutes for each wire. So, you know, I much prefer waiting like 5 seconds for each wire. That's way more glue than what I needed. But, well, of course, if I leave it like that, it's going to drip everywhere, and I don't want it dripping everywhere. So where's my thing? There we go. Okay. So the easiest way is to just take a wire. I'm going to start with my distributor wire, or my coil wire, which is my shortest one. Coil wire. I just dip it into the CA glue and then put it into the distributor. Okay. Now some of these I may have to trim a little bit of the wire off because the hole that they go into is not that deep. So there's our coil wire installed. There we go. Let's pick another wire here. Let's make sure that's going to fit before I put it in. So I'm going to have to check each one. What I want to do, let's take this and go like this, because this will hold it straight up and down. Bingo. I have to make sure my wires I don't have any stray wires trying to fray. And then do a little bit of a test fit. Because if it doesn't go down all the way, then I'm kind of screwed. Put that in there. And in she goes. Here's another one. This one. Now this one's a little long, so I already know this one I'm going to have to trim just a little bit. I see no frayed wire on there. So, this little process, just to go doink, get that little excess off. I basically need like 1.5 millimeters of wire sticking out, and I don't need any more than that. We'll test fit just to make sure. Kinda fits in there. Let's just make sure. Okay. Dip. And in she goes. All right, next one. This one's way too long. Okay. Yep, fits good. All right. That one looks good. It looks like it might just have a frayed wire, so let's just make sure. Yeah, she'll be fine. Like a glove. Okay. Another one. 2 left to go, guys. This one's a little bit long. Come on, get in the hole. Okay, so I missed the hole when trying to line it up, so then the wire got frayed, and then now we have a frayed wire with CA glue all over it. So fortunately I was able to re-straighten it. Let's try this again. There we go. Oops. Now I've got 2 wires frayed. What the heck? Oh man. This one, why are you being such a pain? All 6 of your brothers went in there fine. There we go. Guess just need to threaten them a little bit. And finally our last one is the last one, which is the first one. He's in. Okay, so there's all of our spark plug wires in the distributor cap. So now we're going to take a little bit of accelerator and we'll give that a little bit of a spray. We'll help that glue do its thing. All right. So, one thing I was thinking of maybe doing while I was doing this is I could try cutting a little section of the heat shrink tubing like this. Running it down over, say, this wire here. Put it down over. I don't know if I can actually get in between each wire with it. If I could do that on each one, I could use the heat shrink tubing on there. But I think I've cut that one a little bit too long. For realism, I think I cut that too long. Let's try just a little bit shorter. Let's try half that length. get in there like that. Let's try the second one. This is the second wire. You? Which wire's next? Yeah, this long guy. As we get down to the actual distributor, this becomes, clearance becomes a problem. Just the thickness of the heat shrink tubing alone is too much to fit around each wire. We don't have enough clearance for each one, so I'm not going to be putting any boots on that end. So no boots going on the distributor. Okay, and that's just the way it's got to be. What I am going to do though is bend our wires down. Okay. In bending them, they might come off, so that's why I haven't put my glue away yet. I'm going to take random ones, because I don't know what the firing order is on a 440, and I'm really not interested in what it really is. Which is why I just kind of do random. We'll bend them all down. Oh, it's technically they're going to be like, yeah, this direction. Oh, see, one came out. And that's why I do this. So where'd you go? And that was our original one here. Well, he gets to be re-glued. And where did he come out? He came out right there. So this wire's got to come up so that I can get in here. I'm going to have to re-drill the hole for it. Where are my drill bits? Because now that hole's got some glue in it. Okay. All right, he goes in now, good. Okay, and because he's going this way, I'm gonna just kind of turn him around over here so that it's not so much of a shock on him when I bend him over. All right. Okay, we'll let that dry. In fact, I'm going to add just a little bit more glue to these guys. This one guy here is thinking about coming out. And in fact, that guy is really loose. Why are you so loose, mister? Let's spray this with a little accelerator again. Okay. Now with that done, these guys should all be very willing to just stay put in their spots now, 4 on each side. And our distributor goes into our little spot here. Our coil is going to go down over here. And our 4 wires on this side, 4 wires on that side. So if I've done my measuring right, I should have enough length to go all the way to the back last one. This one will be a little tight. Unless I want to go over the valve cover. See, I could go like this, run my wire under here, and do this. And put it in the head there. Like that. This one would obviously go to that one there because he's a short one. This guy could go to that cylinder, and then this guy. I actually am not going to be able to do that. This guy's going to have to come over. He's going to have to change. He's going to have to swap places with this guy. Bend him over that way. Okay. This side we've got way too long of wires, but that's why I did it like this. I could very well just run these over to this side and run all of our shorter ones here, except of course our coil wire. But this guy's got to go over here. Those two there, you go there. So I got those 3. I think maybe what I'm going to do is run, say, this guy here. Let's run him like that. This guy will come this way. There we go. Everybody gets kind of bent over a little bit so that we got all of our wires where they need to be. These guys will probably go over top of him. Run him under like this. All that. There we go. Okay. So we get an idea of where they need to go, but before I run into this and I start actually cutting them, there's something I wanted to address before I go, and that is the exhaust. The headers for this kit. We want to take a look at those. Okay, because they need to be assembled. A lot of these model kits, these car kits, your exhaust manifolds are like one piece for each side, but not in this kit. In this kit we have these guys, and we have the actual plates that they mount into. First thing I need to do is get rid of my excess CA glue. That's something I don't like to leave this in here like this, so we're going to get rid of some of this here. Soak that up in the Q-tips. One more here just to make sure. Get rid of all that excess, and now that'll dry much faster for me. Okay, so if we look at our instructions, let's get to our exhaust. Here we are here, step number 23. We've got to get our little plates. I have those back here somewhere. Here we are. Our two plates, they're both number 50, I believe. Yes, they're both the same part number. So these are not left and right specific. They don't matter. Okay? Left and right don't matter on these. As far as the pipes go, though, they are. So we're going to take number 38 and 36. Let's see here. There's 38 over here. I don't know if I need to keep this nub. I don't know if I need to keep that. I'm going to keep it for now. So 38 and now 36, this one here. So these two are going to go together. Got a guide hole and peg. Okay. And then they're going to go into these to help align them up. Not that they really want to, but there we go. So I can put that down like that so that they're kind of level and they're straight, sort of straight. Yeah. Okay. So I can put some glue on that. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to glue them down here just at the collector area, but I'm not going to glue them to the plate, and I'll explain why. They want you to put the plate on for the kit engine because there is no exhaust ports on the heads at all, so they put a plate on there. But on my 440 Magnum, I've got the exhaust detail on there. I'm actually curious because our ports are 2 in the center and 1 on each outside, but yet our header here, they're evenly spaced. I'm curious of what they've got on my resin 426. On the resin 426, the exhaust ports are also evenly spaced, so yeah, which would be that one there. That's what they would have been like if I was using the resin 426. It's too big. They don't line up. But then again, this engine is smaller too, right? My head's a little bit small. But that's okay. Because I'm not using it. That's why it's okay. It's okay because I'm not using it. Anyway, so that's one side. Let's get the other side together so that we're going to be able to use these or put them on or do something with them. Probably primer them and paint them next time. Let's just get rid of my sprue here. Don't need this extra stuff going on here. Okay. Similar fashion, these two go together like this. Line that peg. There we go. And get these lined up. Do into this. really want to stay in there. There we go. Alright. Put some glue on the collector. It's not really the collector, it's just where they all go together. Alright, and now I'll press this down. So hopefully they stay lined up. I think I'm going to have to keep them in this because they don't want to stay lined up. So I'm going to leave them sitting through like that, even though this one's not. They're not playing nice, let's put it that way. Come on. I almost want to just, there we go. Okay. So that's where we're going to leave them. We're going to let those dry. And that is where we're going to end it for today, guys. That's where we're going to leave it. I know, again, once again, another episode where we didn't really get a lot done, right? But I now have my floorboard is getting ready. Gonna have to sand this down a little bit, get rid of some high spots that I've got from the putty in there. We'll get that done, get that cleaned up there. I'll do that. I'll do all this off camera, you know, so you don't have to watch me working with a file for 20 minutes, right? So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you for suffering through this with me. You know, by episode 6 I should have had half the car put together by now, but of course this is taking a lot longer. I think next time we're going to focus more on doing the kit engine a little bit and get it more completed, because really we did nothing with it today, right? And of course I do want to actually build the kit engine. I'm not just focusing only on the resin engine. That is just another part of it, really. Anyway, and of course I've got the seat to deal with and all that stuff, and I've got to figure out just exactly what I'm going to be doing with the interior carpet and what I'm going to do, because there are options. You could do some flocking, which is very common. You could do just a thick paint and make it rough and that kind of thing. I might go with a velvet or a felt adhesive and lay that down and then paint it. I'm not sure yet. I haven't made that decision 100%. I'm leaning more towards the felt option. Yeah, but again, it's not 100%. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and thanks for joining me on this. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all in the next one.